Greetings, fellow humans. My name is Alistair Lord and I am the Renaissance Yorkshireman. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the protocols that I use when I'm fasting. And essentially the protocols break into two parts. One is the length of time of the fast and the other is exactly what you are putting in your body and also what you're not putting in your body. But before I get into all that, I just want to give you a disclaimer because I am not a medical doctor. I have absolutely no qualifications related to diet or nutrition. I'm somebody who's done their research and then experimented with fasting. I do not recommend that you fast. I don't recommend that you don't fast. I make no recommendation whatsoever, so make the decision yourself as a mature, informed adult. If you choose to fast and you have some sort of problems, I am not legally responsible for the decisions that you make. So before I talk about the protocols, I just want to reiterate some of the health benefits of fasting. So these relate to two things. Perhaps more than two things, but the main two things are one, autophagy, and two, changing the way that your body burns energy from burning glucose to burning fat. So the process of autophagy is a natural process that your body carries out by itself, but it is increased by fasting. Now, exactly how long you need to fast for to get this increase in autophagy, I've come across different answers from different sources. Now, an absolute minimum of 16 hours, it's suggested to get some increase in autophagy. So that would be a basic intermittent fast. But really, you're looking at 24 hours. So a one meal a day if you're intermittent fasting. To really get the benefits of autophagy, intermittent fasting is not enough. And you have to go for prolonged fasting. Now, some of the sources I've read said that you need at least 2, 3, maybe 4 days for autophagy to really kick into high gear. You could do a 1-day fast and you would get increased autophagy, but if you seriously want to kick it up several gears, you really need to do an extended fast. And the second process that I mentioned is the way that your body burns fuel. So the way that we evolved, our ancestors from 20, 30, 40,000 years, they would have prolonged periods of fasting mixed with periods of feasting. So when they feasted, they killed a woolly mammoth or whatever it was they were hunting and the whole tribe could feast. They would be burning glucose for energy. Then, when they went longer than 16 hours without eating, perhaps several days, perhaps even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, their body would be burning fat. So one of the problems that people today, particularly obese people, have is that they are never going into fat burning mode. They're never going more than a 12 or 13 hour period without eating. But all we need is 16 hours without eating and you will be burning fat instead of glucose. So to get this benefit of switching from glucose burning to fat burning, all you need to do is an intermittent fast. Although if you want prolonged periods of fat burning, you need to have longer fasts. So onto the protocol, what you do and do not put in your body. Now it should be obvious that if you're doing a water fast, you are not eating food. Now you may drink tea or coffee on your water fast, and I don't drink milk or sugar in my tea or coffee, so it's easy for me to drink black tea and black coffee because that's what I do on a daily basis. But for many people, if you do drink tea or coffee with milk and or sugar, when you're fasting, no milk and sugar in your tea and coffee because that would constitute food, it would break your fast, and then you're not fasting. You might as well just eat a full meal. Don't drink diet sodas. Personally, I never drink diet sodas because I think they're full of poison. Why anyone would want to drink them, I have absolutely no idea. You know, if you want a sugary drink, drink Coca-Cola. If you don't want a drink with sugar, drink water. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science, but you know, some of you out there may well like Diet Coke, Diet 7-Up, whatever. If you are fasting, do not drink a diet drink. The only 5 drinks that I drink when I'm fasting, when I'm doing a water fast, is 1, water, salt water, and I'll come to exactly how we prepare our salt water in a minute, tea, coffee, and rooibos, red bush, whatever you want to call it. So if I'm doing a 1-day fast, and when I say a 1-day fast, in my case, it's basically a 40-hour fast, I will drink water, tea, and coffee. Normally, I don't drink salt water when I'm only on a 1-day fast. My experience is you don't need salt water if you're on a 1-day fast. If you're going to do a longer fast, and I would say, you know, 3 or 4 days or longer, firstly, you will need to drink salt water. And secondly, you will want to consider coming off caffeine. So no tea, no coffee. So firstly, we need water. You need plenty of hydration when you're fasting. Drink as much water as you like. With salt water, why do we need to drink salt water when we're doing a longer fast? And when I'm doing longer fasts, I start drinking salt water on the 2nd day. But actually, you could probably get away with the 2nd day not drinking salt water. But certainly by day 3, you absolutely need to be drinking salt water. Now, if you want, you can just use table salt with boil water, add table salt, mix it up, it dissolves, it cools down, you can drink it. Table salt is not ideal. With salt water, when you're fasting, you want to get a particular balance of potassium and sodium because your body needs sodium and potassium when you're fasting. And I know from experience, if you don't have sodium and potassium from the salt water when you're fasting, you will get muscular aches and pains. So table salt is possible. It's not ideal because it's sodium chloride, NaCl. So there will be some potassium, but it will be mostly sodium. So you won't be getting the right balance, but that will do if you've got no other option. So ideally, what I do, I use a mixture of Himalayan pink salt and sea salt for my sodium, and then I use low salt for the potassium. I'm not going to get into the different mixtures of salt you can have for the correct balance of sodium and potassium, but if you do want to know about that, I recommend the snake juice guide. So go on YouTube, type in snake juice diet. You will get videos about how to mix your water for the right balance of sodium and potassium. Now what I do is I make a really strong version, put it in one particular bottle, and then I dilute it when I come to drink it. Let's be clear, drinking salt water is not a bundle of laughs. I mean, you know, some people do it for other health benefits, so I've heard. I only ever drink salt water if I'm fasting because I know from personal experience it is necessary. I also don't recommend having a cup of tea within an hour of drinking salt water because you will probably throw up. I know I do. So that's something I learned from my personal experience. Don't drink salt water and then 20 minutes later have a cup of tea because, you know, 5 minutes after you've started drinking that cup of tea, you will be vomiting. So you must drink lots of water and a certain amount of salt water. If you're doing no caffeine, you can drink Red Bush, rooibos tea as well. Now with caffeine, if I'm doing a short fast, a 1-day fast in my case, I don't come off caffeine. Experience has taught me if I'm doing a longer fast of 5, 6, 7 days, 8, 9 days, 9 days the longest I've ever done, I need to come off caffeine. Certainly by day 4, I would say. You might just about get away with a 5-day fast without coming off caffeine. I wouldn't recommend it. My recommendation for a longer fast is something like this. If you can come off caffeine completely before you start the fast, great. If you're going to have a small amount of caffeine on day 1, day 2, day 3, I don't think that's a problem. Certainly when I've done it, it hasn't been a problem. Day 4 and past day 4, you pretty much want to be off caffeine. As I say, you may get away with day 4 or day 5, but if you really want to get the benefits of fasting, I would recommend going no longer than 3 days with caffeine, so that by day 4 and past that, you're on 0 caffeine. Almost certainly you will get some kind of withdrawal symptoms. In my own case, it was headaches and a lack of concentration. But I found it only lasted 1 or 2 days. You know, by day 3, I really didn't notice. So it's not as big a deal as you think. Now, in my case, my normal caffeine intake when I'm not fasting is 2 cups of tea in the morning, no sugar or milk because I drink black tea, and 1 cup of coffee in the afternoon. Now, it is a very strong cup of coffee because I normally only drink 1 coffee in the afternoon. So when I'm withdrawing, I'm only withdrawing from 3 cups of caffeinated beverages a day. Now, some of you out there might have much higher caffeine intakes, in which case I would spend, at least 3 days, but 5 days or a week if you can, reducing your caffeine intake so that by the time you're on day 1 of your fast, your caffeine intake is relatively low, so that the symptoms that you'll have with your withdrawal will be much smaller. And finally, how many days? Well, I've been experimenting getting on for 2 years now with fasting. And for about 1.5 years, I've been doing at least a 1-day fast every month. So I now use 3 different protocols as far as the timing goes with fasting. The first one is the isolated 1-day fast. The second one is multiple 1-day fasts. And the third one is 5 days or longer. And in my case, longer usually means a week. But in one case, I did fast for 9 days, and it was an absolute bloody disaster. I'll tell you why in a moment. So 1-day fast, an isolated 1-day fast. So it's been more than a week before previously that you fasted, and you're not going to fast for at least another week. A 1-day isolated fast, in my case about 40 hours. I would recommend doing 1 a month. I think that I've got health benefits from doing it. And it's not that difficult to fast for 1 full day. 40 hours is actually not that long, and your body will appreciate it. I think as I progress with fasting that my body now finds it easier to change from burning glucose to burning fat. I also think my health has improved. Mind you, I've stopped drinking, so that could be a factor. But I think this process of autophagy has improved my health. Multiple 1-day fasts. So last year in April, I fasted every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that was 13 days out of a 30-day month. And I felt really good. It wasn't so difficult. I mean, in my case, I've done a lot of 1-day fasts, so it wasn't such a big deal. I lost quite a lot of weight. I lost the best part of a stone. I put about half a stone back on fairly quick. But, I felt good when the woman who I was dating at the time, she said I looked really good. I looked healthy. So I think I got benefits from that. Now, at the moment, here we are in August 2021. I fasted every Wednesday. And in fact, I'm fasting today. And when I get into September, I'm planning that the 1st of September is a Wednesday. I'm going to do Wednesday, Friday, that first week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of the second week, and Monday, Wednesday of the third week. And then I'm going to switch back to just Wednesday fasting. And this is in preparation for a longer fast that I'm planning to do in October. So in October, on the first Monday the 4th of October, I'm planning to do a 1 week fast with no caffeine. So the multiple 1 day fast, you can work it out yourself, but I would recommend either 2 days a week, Monday, Thursday, let's say, or 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And finally, the extended fast. And when I say extended fast, I mean at least 4 or 5 days or longer. I'm not exactly sure how many 5, 6 and 7 day fasts I've done in the last 2 years, but I don't know, 8 or 10 probably. I've done a few shorter ones as well, 2, 3, 4 day fasts. And as I said in my previous video, I don't like 2, 3, 4 day fasts because day 2, 3 and 4 are always the hardest. You have a very strong appetite and you haven't really fully entered, you haven't gone into overdrive with autophagy, so you're not getting the full benefits. If you do your fasting correctly and you've come off caffeine, on day 5, your appetite will drop, your mind will clear, your concentration will go up, and you'll feel great, you'll feel full of energy. So when I've done longer fasts, 5, 6, 7 days, and I've come off caffeine, I felt great on day 5, 6 and 7, but I've had to go through the aggravation of day 2, 3 and 4. So 5, 6, 7 day fast, I absolutely recommend. Now, my experience when I did a 9 day fast, I was expecting on day 5 to feel a lot better. I didn't. But I didn't come off caffeine in this particular fast. 9 days I fasted. I felt bloody awful for the whole thing. And people who saw me, I had a couple of friends who saw me, obviously, as a general rule, when you're fasting, you're not going to be going out and doing as much, but I would go out cycling. They said I looked awful. They said I looked really gone and I felt weak. I felt terrible, I have to say. So absolutely, I will never do a 5 day or longer fast and stay on caffeine. I won't do it ever again. And finally, I'd just like to say a little bit about exercise, because exercise really is part of the protocol. Do not do weight training on days when you're fasting. Now, if you want to build muscle through weight training, what happens is when you do the weights, it breaks the muscle, then you eat a high protein meal and your body repairs the muscle so that it's stronger. If you do weight training on a day that you're fasting, you'll break down your muscle, but then you're not repairing it because you're not eating a high protein meal, because you're doing a water fast. And actually you will get weaker. You will lose muscle if you do weight training on a fasting day. So absolutely do not do any weight training on a fasting day. Now, the only kind of exercise I ever do on fasting days is walking, cycling, and sometimes I go swimming. But if I do go swimming, I do a much shorter swim than I would do on a normal day. If you have any questions about fasting, do feel free to put them in the comments below the video, because I will be making more videos about fasting in the future, because, well, for one thing, I want to make a video after I've done my 7 day no caffeine fast in October. Thank you for giving me your time today. Peace.